Hello everybody, it's me GhostCritic, and we've had the first new comic book day of the year. It's time to start off the new comic book reviews of the year, and for me personally it started out a little bit of a whimper, small beginnings and all that. I guess it was nice not to be so overwhelmed for the first week of the year. I only really had 3 books on my pull list, but I took upon a recommendation that people were tweeting out on obviously Twitter, and I picked up a book that came out last week, I believe, but is now firmly on my pull list. And so I'll be doing that regularly as it comes up, and let's just kick off with that book first. I will put the rest in kind of preference of how much I like them to my pick of my personal pull list of the week. Well, let's talk about Kurt's book, Batman Creature of the Night, Book 2, art by Jean-Paul Leon. This is just a fantastic book. When Kurt's writing it, you know you're going to get a good, solid story. It is kind of reminiscent of his Astro City work, in the sense that while this is a Batman book, this is very much about the people who are involved in that universe, and I'm not quite sure where this kind of sits, because I guess you could call it an Elseworlds tale, because our main character, although there are kind of allusions to Bruce Wayne, it's not actually him, it's Bruce Wainwright. For those of you who have been reading this, the first issue saw our Bruce Wainwright in this book, and his life kind of running in parallel with what we know of the origin, so to speak, of Bruce, with his parents dying tragically. In this book it's from a messed up burglary at the home where his parents are killed, and the child Bruce is left basically as an orphan, and how he kind of manifests this. You almost get this kind of supernatural feeling to this particular Batman. He kind of wills Batman into existence to find the killers of his family. In book 2 we have him much further on in life. He's now at college. He's obviously taken over the business. He's got the kind of business savvy going on, making great decisions. And there are all these kind of peripheral characters around him that, again, they are kind of running parallel to our regular Batman universe. We've got an Officer Gordon, his uncle that he affectionately calls Alfred, and there's little kind of Easter eggs in there, like Pennyworth Industries is thrown in there as well. And in this issue we have the introduction of Robin. Now, this isn't Robin going to be a sidekick for our Batman here, but is a character, a female character, who goes through basically what Bruce has been through, in the sense that her parents are killed, to begin with, kind of unknown reasons. And Bruce kind of looks into it and uncovers kind of a big drugs ring and kind of a mafia group running this particular part of the city. It's just a great, solid storytelling from Kurt, and he just kind of immerses you into this world where you go along with Bruce, struggling to reconcile this kind of supernatural-esque Batman and his methods, which seem to be incredibly vicious and bloody and violent, and the way he gets to where he has to, by quite immoral means, planting evidence, etc., to get the police to look into certain areas. And by the end of this issue we kind of have our Bruce Wainwright pushing this Batman away, who has been keeping Bruce safe for all the time he has been left kind of parentless. But I love this book. I don't know how many issues this goes on for, maybe 4 or 5, I don't know, but I'm quite happy to buy this nice prestige format, pay that little bit extra. Let's talk Jean-Paul Lyon's artwork, which is just really fantastic. Again, it suits the kind of crime noir type storyline of the book. Naturally kind of gritty and dark in places where it should be, and light and kind of almost frivolous in others, in like party scenes, but just a great book. And no doubt if I had been reviewing this last week, it would have probably been my pick of the week. Right, let's move on to books that were out this week. I'm going to kick off with the most disappointing book, I would say, this week, and unfortunately that was the recommendation from people on Twitter, and I don't at all blame them for coercing me. No, they didn't at all. It was my decision. I had very little to read this week, so I thought I'd give it a go, and it's one of those DC Hanna-Barbera kind of crossover-y type things. It's the Snagglepuss Chronicles Exit Stage Left. And it's just an okay book. I didn't read, let's be honest, I didn't read any of the other kind of DC Hanna-Barbera kind of crossover reimaginings. I heard great things about the Flintstones. I may, in some time in the future, pick that up when it comes all collected in one nice book, whether it's soft or hardback. I don't really mind because I heard such good stuff about it. And this was kind of on that spectrum of it was pretty hyped. This is the next one that people have been kind of really waiting for. However, from what I gather about like stuff like the Flintstones that got great rave reviews, it took an existing character or cast of characters and basically made something new with it. Flintstones, the cartoon, always kind of mirrored what was going on in society in their cartoons anyway, and from what I've heard people talk about, it mirrored what was happening in today's world, which sounds all well and good. This book, however, doesn't really do that. It basically just takes the premise of kind of like the late 40s, early 50s McCarthyism trials, and the kind of like the second Red Scare, where there were factions of the American population and people in power who thought that communism was rife within American culture, politics, society in general, and so they created these almost kind of like witch hunts for people who they basically deemed undesirable, and you get, and this is basically just that there's no illusion, there's no subtlety to it. It is just basically retelling that, apart from the fact this is a universe where kind of these anthropomorphic animals live side by side with kind of regular human beings. And Snagglepuss is this great kind of playwright, well revered, but with secrets. He has, I don't know whether, I can't remember if it's a fake wife or a fake girlfriend, because what Snagglepuss actually is a closeted gay man. And he goes down to the Stonewall Bar to meet and have a lover's tryst. But and that kind of sets him up for the kind of eye from the political bodies that are going to bring down communism within America. But that is just it. That is the story, and there's nothing new there. There's nothing fresh. Just throwing in a Hanna-Barbera character into this kind of true historical time in America. it does nothing for me. It's just what it is. There doesn't seem to be anything new at the moment thrown in the mix, and quite frankly, I'm not believing that anything will, and that leads me to the point where I won't be picking up issue 2. Maybe I'm preempting this a bit too soon, but I'm not willing to try on this, I'm afraid. The artwork here by Matt Feehan with Mark Morales and Paul Mounts wasn't anything to kind of write home about. It was serviceable. There was nothing particularly exciting about it. The layout, just kind of your standard. There was nothing exciting about this book that grabbed me straight away. So I hope that people find more from it. If you're not familiar with the whole kind of McCarthyism, Second Red Scare in America, this might be of interest to you. But I don't think if you already know about it, you're really going to learn anything new from it. From Marvel this week, Astonishing XMen issue 7, and what I believe is the second part of this 12-issue maxi series, A Man Called X, part 1 from Astonishing XMen, Charles Soule, this time with new artist Phil Noto. Each issue has a different artist, and this, while the start of a new storyline and does kind of set up the next ball kind of storyline rolling, it's more trying to tie up what happened in the previous story arc, where we have our X-Men that have escaped the astral plane, meeting up with this young man who may or may not be Xavier. We have the conclusion and the resolution of what's happened to Phantom X, who has kind of made the ultimate sacrifice by staying within the astral plane, hopefully to make a better life for himself, be a better person. And then obviously there is the whole mind control from the Shadow King, clearing that up. Xavier seems to be all powerful again and managing to kind of stop all this telepathic virus that's going around, that's taking over everyone within London and kind of absorbing it into one big kind of energy ball and trying to dissipate it all. Of course, that kind of goes wrong by the end of this. But it's very fun, very exciting. We have kind of the Archangel Warren Worthington, who has kind of worked to keep down the kind of Dark Angel version of him, but had to use it in the first storyline, and may or may not have been able to kind of entrap it back in and be kind of keep it caged again and be the good angel that we know. Xavier's managed to kind of wipe that rage, that violence from him, so he's still blue, he's still got the metal wings, but he's kind of the good guy again. So that's a bit of a change for ongoing storylines, I guess, within the whole of the X universe. I'm guessing this is part of the regular continuity. But like I said, Xavier's trying to, or X as he likes to call himself, he's not quite ready, I don't believe, to put that mantle of, you know, Professor Xavier to him. He thought he could manage to dissipate this energy of all this virus that's going around, but basically it kind of amalgamates and turns into, I think it was Proteus, I want to say Proteus, or is it Prometheus? Proteus, that's it. Just give you a little sneak peek at that last page there. But just great stuff. Again, the Phil Noto art, it's okay. It's very clean art style. It's again, it's a serviceable art style. For the book, like I say, it's very clean, very sharp lines, nothing too kind of messy. They do this, I don't quite know, I don't know if this is kind of catching up for people who are not familiar with X-Men, who's not, but they've started kind of putting these kind of not, I kind of guess, origin pages in the back. 2 or 3 pages of how kind of Xavier and all the mutants all come together, and you've got that kind of nice pin-up at the back there as well. But I've really been enjoying Astonishing X-Men. I like that it's kind of got that fine art ending. This is a story that Charles Soule wants to tell, and it is only going to take him 12 issues, so you know he's got the start, the middle and the end all worked out, without any kind of hoping loss of kind of loose ends, or if there is, let's hope someone picks them up in an X book outside of this particular title. Penultimate book this week was Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang's Paper Girls, issue 19, and at the end of last issue we did see this this huge robot that we could see on the double page cover crashing on top of older Tiffany's house. Fortunately, it would appear that the girls within and Tiffany's husband managed to escape. I'm guessing in the basement, the cellar of their house. But again, I think I've spoken about this before. Paper Girls is a very slow-moving book. Not a lot seems to happen from issue to issue. Not that stuff doesn't happen. It just goes very slowly. It's like minutes go by rather than hours or days within an issue. And I kind of wonder if Brian K. Vaughan has kind of lost his way with this book, because I'm not really sure now the kind of relevance really of the Paper Girls within this book. They are important, because we've seen in past issues with the kind of the elderly journalist who basically said it's all these girls' fault that all this is happening, where we have from the very far future these two warring factions, the young people and the old people of the future, and they're both trying to either mess with past time or make sure that it stays true to what it has been. But it's all getting kind of messed up now with kind of almost side stories, subplots, what with kind of meeting each other older and obviously a lot different than they are in their own present day, which is our past. And then dealing with the likes of sexuality, burgeoning sexuality and all that. And it just seems to be getting a little bit lost, and maybe Brian needs to refocus the storytelling of this book. Not that it's a bad book to read. I do enjoy reading Paper Girls. Cliff Chiang and Matt Wilson's art on this is really nice to look at as you're reading through the book. It's just one of those books where I want things to, speed up a little bit, get a little bit of momentum going. Finally, and I'm guessing my pick of the week. Not guess, it was, because it's a fine book, and I'm glad I went out and found the first 2 issues of this, and it's obviously on my poll list, but it is Wes Craig's The Grave Diggers Union, issue number 3, where we've got this this universe where the dead are rising, whether they're kind of like zombies, whether they're ghosts. We've got vampires thrown in there. We've got witches, and then we've got this Grave Diggers Union, which is like the working men of this world trying to hold back the madness, putting people back down basically in the ground. But there is this kind of emerging backstory that's coming to the fore, where there is this kind of dark black cult who have obviously evil intentions, and the kind of twist I guess in here is that their latest kind of messiah character is the daughter of one of our grave diggers. I don't think well, they're not. I don't believe they are aware of that yet. They just know that this kind of dark cult needs to be kind of put down and stop making the world even worse as the zombies and the ghosts and the vampires and all that start to take more and more of the world over. But just a fantastic, very well-paced story. The artwork, not just by Wes Craig, but also Toby Cypress. It is great. We always kind of start with Wes Craig's art, and this always seems to be set very much in the past, kind of almost 2001 AD, you know, Space Odyssey, that film, where you had the black monolith and the monkeys and the kind of the beginnings, I guess, of sentient thought within the monkeys and evolution. That's what I'm thinking of. And he's kind of throwing in what look like I don't know, angels perhaps, alien angels that pushed forward our evolution. And then Toby Cypress's great artwork, messing kind of around with colours and kind of, I'm trying to think where I've kind of seen his artwork before, or what style it kind of reminds me of. I guess in a little bit of way the guy who does They're Not Like Us, I can't remember his name now, but it's kind of a bit like that, but kind of amped up with the whole kind of supernatural, the ghoulish, the gory of it all, and the magical spectacle of it. But this has got me, pardon the pun, digging it a great deal, and I can't wait for the next issue. So if you haven't read the Gravediggers Union yet, please get out there and find those first 3 issues, catch up. I'm sure they won't be that difficult to find, but you'll be in for a very exciting, thrilling, horror-tinged, supernatural, magical read. And they are my books this week. Like I said, it was a very small week, but thank you for tuning in and watching me ramble on about the books that I've read. If you've got any thoughts and opinions on the books that I read, please, down in the comments section, let me know. Give this video a big thumbs up. And if you want to continue watching my videos and you're not yet subscribed, hit the red subscribe button and also say hi. I like to say hello to new people as they come and join my channel. So until next week, when we'll have a new batch of books to chat about, bye-bye.